Now, Duffy Books in Homes has had significant success here in New Zealand, teaching our children to read, and now it's doing the same thing in upstate New York. Dr. Ben Carson has been supporting the scheme throughout his Reading Room organisation, and he's currently in New Zealand to help inspire kids in the program here. Dr. Ben Carson joins me now. Good morning and welcome to New Zealand. Can you tell us a little bit about the Ben Carson Reading Room project in the US?
Yes, well, we put reading rooms into schools and libraries and public places, and they're very interesting places that no little kid would possibly pass up. And they get points for the number of books they read and the hours they spend in there, which they can trade in for prizes. And initially they do it for the prizes, but it doesn't take long before their academic performance begins to improve significantly. And we put them primarily in schools that don't have libraries, and children who come from homes that don't have books. And it makes a big difference in terms of dropout rates.
In terms of children carrying on their education. Now tell us, why has your organisation started to help out Duffy Books in Homes? What made you get on board with that?
Well, because, you know, I met Kevin Drinkwater and several of the other people involved with the Duffy Books in New York. I was in upstate New York speaking at one of the colleges, was the initial contact. And we talked a little bit about it, and then your ambassador from here to the United States came. And there was a lot of interest there, and I could see that these things were very, very related. And then Duffy began to supply books for some of the Carson reading rooms in the United States, and it seemed like a natural marriage.
How successful has that initiative been in the US so far?
Extremely successful, and you know, I think that, you know, Main Freight getting involved and providing, you know, a lot of money for the purchase of books. Interestingly enough, New Zealanders can be very proud because they're going to have a profound effect in the United States as well.
Do you think that the initiative could spread beyond upstate New York throughout America? Is there room?
It will.
Is it needed?
It is very much needed because, you know, we live in a time when the populace is becoming much less educated and more dependent on things that they shouldn't be because they don't develop their own brains. You're
going to talk to some kids in New Zealand schools while you're here. What's your message to New Zealand Kiwi kids going to be?
Well, my main message to them is going to be the power of the human brain and the fact that the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life is you. You know, it's not the circumstance and it's not somebody else. And if you use that brain appropriately, you can do pretty much anything.
Your life story has been made into a movie, Gifted Hands, which I watched with my kids over the weekend. It's called The Ben Carson Story. How does it make you feel to have a movie made about your life, about the message that you've got to...
Well, you know, I'm pleased because, you know, in the United States, I hope it's not like that in New Zealand, but there's way too much emphasis on sports and entertainment and not enough emphasis on intellectual development and personal responsibility. So anytime we can push that message, I think we do our society a great deal of good.
And have you had good response? Cuba Gooding Jr. has played you in the movie. Yes. Obviously an interesting experience for him. Have you had a good response from that? Has it made a difference to awareness of the reading rooms and the other projects you're involved in?
Absolutely. It has made a big difference. And, you know, it gives you exposure. Our newest book that came out, America the Beautiful, you know, which talks about some of the things I was just talking about, has, you know, made the New York Times bestseller list already. And it's good to get that kind of exposure and to get people talking, and that's the main thing, because political correctness has shut everybody up. And I need people to talk, use that brain, and make progress rather than just listing back and forth and arguing all the time.
Alrighty, Ben Carson, thank you for joining us on the couch this morning. You're going to be speaking at Telstra Clear. There are still tickets available for that event. I think there are door sales, or you can go to Ticket Direct. It starts at 5 p.m, I think the doors open. So you can hear more and also hear raising money for Starship Children's Hospital. So thanks.